Hello, Oracles! Well, Tesla stock is forming a very bullish pattern ahead of Q3 earnings. We were discussing it last night on the live stream, and someone was astute and pointed out that we're forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Looking at it right now, looks like we may have been forming the other shoulder, but in looking at it deeper this morning, it looks like we're now forming the head. So what an inverse head and shoulders pattern is, head and shoulders goes up, and then down. So shoulder, head, shoulder. And so what we're looking at is the opposite. So we're going to have a shoulder down, it comes back up, and then the head comes further down, and then the shoulder on the other side. Right now, it looks like we are forming the head based on the patterns that we're looking at, the fact that we have the gaps down to 258 and 247. Looking at the way we've been pulling down at the moment, if we do continue to pull down, that would create that head, and then we would come back up in a nice V pattern. That could be created maybe by production and delivery numbers. So if we pull down over the next 2 days significantly, we could bounce up, and then we would end up coming down, and I'm guessing timing-wise for the next pull down would probably be like CPI, something macro related, and then we would end up shooting back up with Q3 earnings. All of this is just speculation, just taking a look at the charts and the timing of all the news and everything that we have coming out for Tesla and the macro environment. But based upon all of this information, looks like that pattern could be forming. So I will keep you guys posted on that. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to thank you guys so much. We have made it to 15 members already on this channel. That is awesome. I appreciate you guys so much. For those of you guys who don't know the membership program, all the charts and things that I go over here, I am going to be doing videos for all of the members in there and small live streams in a small group format to be able to share with you guys how I find all of the levels that I find, how I come up with all the charts and the patterns, and how I draw my lines. Just some education for you guys down there. Lots of other awesome perks that are coming as well for that program. And now at the time of this recording, we are just under $280 pre-market, looking around $278 right now. So we'll see how we trade over the course of the day. We do have Jerome Powell coming out and speaking again today at 10:15 Eastern time. Now we do have Fed Brainard coming out on Friday at 9 a.m. to speak. Now Brainard is a more dovish Fed, and one of the questions that we had this week is how is Tesla going to trade into AI Day 2022 and Q3 production and delivery numbers coming out this weekend? Well, if she is going to come out on Friday morning and speak, there's a chance we may get a little bit more of a bullish market coming out of that. But now if a dovish Fed comes out and says that we do need to fight inflation, that could pull us down further. So I think right now we're kind of trapped in the macro web at the moment. So nothing really Tesla-wise is going to pull us out. But again, with the Q3 production and delivery numbers coming out this weekend, maybe Monday is a new start and we're going to shoot up at that point. We'll take a look and see how that goes. As of right now, my production and delivery forecast is 369,000, and Wall Street estimates are around 357,000. Now, looking at Q3 earnings and the fact that, if we are going to be pulling out of this, and an inverse head and shoulders pattern usually indicates a switch from a bearish trend to a bullish trend. And so we are now looking at a potential switch over to that bullish trend. And timing-wise, coming to that Q3 earnings seems like that could potentially be happening. We also have a lot of people talking about how the S&P may get pulled down to that 3570 mark. We're almost there, and if we do get pulled down to that level, Tesla itself most likely will come down to fill those gaps. And the Dow right now just entered a bear market yesterday. Now, a bear market means that you're down 20% from recent highs. The recent highs for the Dow was actually all the way back in January, but that was the most recent high, so we are technically in a bear market for the Dow. And so yesterday, with the nice little jump that we had, we did create a gap at 276. So looking at the way we're pulling down pre-market today, we may end up filling that gap today. We'll pay attention to that. And then again, below this is the support level that we have at 265, then the gap at 258, the gap at 247, and then a strong support at 245. So those are the levels I'm paying attention to as we have been pulling down this way. Going back up, just remember that all the support levels that we had now become resistance levels. So that 289, which created a very nice resistance yesterday when we came back up, bounced almost directly off of 289, came back down off of that. That is going to be the next resistance on the way back up if we do not fall below 275 again, because 275 seems to be that resistance that we are at. So 275 and now the gap at 276 are about the same. If we break below that, again, we have 265 below us. And now looking at some early preliminary Q3 earnings numbers that are coming out, looks like Wall Street expectations for EPS are $1.06. My personal expectations right now, I have them at $1.27. So we'll see how that plays out. I have them at gross margins, vehicle gross margins of 31.3%. and that's 28.9% X credits, and then we've got Wall Street coming in at 27.6% X credits. So again, these are just margin numbers, but still those are insanely high margins, and they will only go up from here as these two factories in Berlin and Austin get ramped even further. So think about those two running at an efficiency level of Shanghai and the margins that we will see out of that, because just between Shanghai and Fremont alone, they were able to get over 30% margins for their vehicles. If we are sitting just under 30% with two factories that, are pulling us down because they haven't hit economies of scale yet, just wait till they hit economies of scale, and we're going to see margins pushing probably 35%, if not more, especially when the Cybertruck comes out next year. And now we have been getting a lot of reports coming out of Tesla about this Q3 push that we are getting at the end of the quarter here for deliveries. Now we've seen this in the past, and Elon at the end of last year had stated that they were trying to get away from this, but right now it seems like they're doing the push. We know what they did at the end of Q2, just because of the fact that Q2 is a very rough quarter. So it seems like they're doing this again, but Elon isn't the same as he was last time. Last time he was completely off of Twitter for a week to really focus on business. This time around, he's still jovial over on Twitter, not as busy as he had been in the past, but seems like it's not as strong of a push as it was in quarter two, but it's definitely going to be a strong push because they are driving for all of these deliveries. We are still getting word coming out of Shanghai that deliveries are going to be lower than we initially expected earlier this month, so maybe looking at that 85 to 90,000 vehicle delivery range, still extremely good, so I'm still excited about that, but just not hitting those super high numbers that we thought we could be possibly hitting. And we also got word coming out of Shanghai from Reuters saying that Shanghai right now is only looking to be producing at 93% capacity. So for the rest of the year, looks like they're probably only going to be producing 93%, and then into next year could be pushing further. Now we did get news yesterday that China is going to be extending their EV tax credit system themselves by pushing it into 2023. So it was expiring this year in 2022. Now it looks like it is going to expire in 2023. So perhaps this is part of the decision-making reasons why they're only going to go with 93% capacity, because they know that they have another year of this EV tax credit that they can then build on top of as well. So we'll see how this all plays out, but either way, it's still a good growth. So even if the demand may be waning a little bit, seemingly based upon a lot of the information that we're getting, we are still growing significantly. We're just not growing at the same pace that we were before. And now something that Hedgewig had mentioned in the comments was the foreign exchange that's going on right now with a strong US dollar means that the US dollar, and since Tesla is based out of the US, that strong US dollar is going to be able to afford them even more on a global wide basis. So if they're going to invest in other areas around the world, the dollar is going to be strong and can afford to buy them even more around the world. So this is actually outstanding news to see. Great point in bringing that up. So I know that, obviously a lot of their money is coming in from China, so that coming over here to the US may not be as valuable, but seeing as we look at the earnings report in dollars, and if we're looking at $5 to $7 billion in free cash flow coming in for the quarter, that's just US dollars that we have to spend on a global basis to be able to invest in factories and land and all sorts of other things. And one other thing that I had noticed on the news, and has been happening more often lately, and you guys can let me know in the comments if you've seen more of this as well, is a lot of accidents that are going on with distracted drivers, wrong way drivers, all sorts of different things that, like, in my head I'm thinking FSD would have prevented all of these. And so looking at the future, when we do get to the point where we get to level 5 autonomy, and we're looking at regulations and what's coming out, when we have a bunch of this going on, a lot of times regulations are like, all right, well, how much push is the public giving us to change these regulations? I don't know if it's an intentional thing or what's going on, but seeing as there's so much more of it in the news right now, I almost wonder if they're laying the groundwork for the human emotional reaction to, hey, we need something to solve this, and all of a sudden, hey, there is a solution for this, now we can get regulations moving forward on it. Again, this is still very early on in the game. I still think we have 3 or 4 years at least before we get to that point where we have fully autonomous vehicles on the road in a manner where it's going to make a difference like this. But I do think that this is coming, and I think that we are going to get a lot of support and backing behind it, because honestly, I see it literally every single day. We've even seen here in Connecticut, where I live, that those numbers have gone up significantly over the last couple of years as well. So let me know in the comments below about your areas, or if in your news you have seen more and more of this. So going back to the charts and the stock price, I am sticking with my strategy that I have had all along. I have my buys set in. I have one buy for one share in my IRA at $265. two more at 250. I have a large chunk of cash, I have about 12% cash right now, waiting to dump about 5% into Tesla if we pull down to that 250 level, waiting to fill that gap, and then we can come back up and reverse this. And then as we come back up, I will wait for that next dip for the shoulder and add a little bit more in at that point, and then just let us ride from there and see where we go. That is my current strategy based upon the information I have right now, and that can totally change as we see on a day-to-day basis. And again, it's not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing right now based upon the things that I see. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys see for Q3 earnings numbers? What do you have for EPS? What do you have for deliveries? What do you guys have for average selling price? Me personally, I have at $57,000, so we'll see if that pans out. And then we've got AI Day 2022 coming up this weekend. So it's going to be Friday night. There will be a live stream going on from 8 p.m. And I think it goes 8 p.m. to midnight. Maybe longer, I'm not sure. It's going to be a long night, so I'll see if they'll be able to stay up for the entire thing. So I'm trying to still work it out with Brian over at My Tesla Weekend, see if we're going to be able to do this. I've got my son's soccer game that I'm working on, and I'm probably going to get him afterwards. So timing-wise, not sure if we're going to do it together or if we're going to do a live stream later on. Either way, we will be collaborating at some point, and I will have a live stream up for you guys for AI Day 2022, and I'll keep you guys posted if it's going to be me or if it's going to be with Brian on My Tesla Weekend. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. If you found value in this video, please consider sharing it with others. We do have that membership program. That link is down in the pinned comment below. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon. That link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.